podcast episode number 1 of Mellow Riot. Thank you, all the millions of people who are joining us right now. So before we introduce our amazing guest on episode number 1, I just wanted to shine a little bit of a light on our sponsors who are helping us out with this. First and foremost, fast and friendly cannabis delivery service, primarily in Southern California, but it's the first delivery service to cover all of Southern California via delivery. In our About Us section, we do have a list of sponsors, and you can find the links there and whatnot. So anyone who uses Mellow Riot, all is one word, and again, it's laid out for everyone to see right here. Anyone who uses Mellow Riot can get a 15% discount off of their delivery, or a $40 first-time patient gift, which is pretty big. The industry normal is about $20. We have another amazing sponsor from an old friend at Groove Cruise, Jason Bukema, a great guy. He created the largest floating party at sea. For anyone who hasn't heard of Groove Cruise, it's an amazing project. Check out their link. We put it here for you. For anyone who wants to go on any of their cruises, well, any of the Groove Cruises, there's a $50 off the largest floating dance music party in the world. We've gone several times. It's bananas. It's like Coachella or EDC at sea. And then Get NUGG or NUGG is an amazing platform. They're the cannabis industry's only first full service shopping experience. And you can find cannabis in any state where it's legal. I actually have their NUGG MD shirt on today. NUGG MD, for those that are interested, you can get a medical, you can get your doctor's recommendation online in minutes for $39 and right from your couch. You don't even have to get up. You can use your iPhone or your Android device, your tablet, and get your doctor's recommendation. And even in the states where cannabis is legal, it's still a good idea because you can save a lot of money on taxes if you get your doctor's recommendation and then your state, or excuse me, your county card through the state of whatever state you're in. Like in Southern California, for example, it's called your MMIP card or your MMIC card. And if you have that with your doctor's recommendation, you get to save like 30-40% in taxes, which is huge if you get a lot of deliveries or if you go into dispensaries a bunch. And then finally, Coinbase. I'm a huge cryptocurrency guy. I know Christian, our upcoming guest, is too. And Coinbase is the world's most secure way to buy and sell Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, et cetera, Use the link that we provide here to get $10 in extra Bitcoin when you buy $100 or more. And that's a good segue to bring in our next guest, Christian Barbuto, aka Barbuto, is an old friend. He's an amazing guy, fellow conspiracy theorist, fellow DJ, not a fellow producer, because he's an amazing producer and I couldn't make a song if my life depended on it. But we are about to bring him in. He's also got a couple other interesting businesses too we're going to talk about in the show. But now is a great time to introduce Christian Barbuto to the episode number 1 of Mellow Riot. Christian, how are you doing?
Good. Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. This is cool.
You're absolutely welcome.
Long time.
So you are in Austin, Texas.
Hanging out today. Yeah, I'm sitting in my doorway just looking out. It's beautiful.
You live in tell people about where you live. You have a super cool, unique living situation.
Yeah, so we live in a my girlfriend and I, Jasmine, we have been for 5 years now. We've been living in a 36-foot fifth wheel RV, travel RV, one of the towables, and we use it as a permanent residence. And we did that. We were living in Austin, downtown in the city, in an
Your
apartment.
camera's shaking a little bit, by the way. I don't know if you can. Yeah,
okay.
Can you keep it from shaking?
Yeah. And so we decided to leave the city and get out of town, mainly for creative reasons, to be able to focus. I wanted to focus on music production and making that leap to, you know, trying to be a full-time DJ, which is fueled these days by your music production. So that was not happening living downtown in a inner city apartment. So we I, I cashed out a stagnant 401k from many years prior, which funded a very nice fifth wheel, which is about the size of a small apartment. And we have it. We found a very unique kind of a resort, which is mainly for full-time people living in the same situation as us. And we right now, I'm sitting where I'm sitting is I'm looking out at about 25 acres of land, and it's beautiful. So we're surrounded by nature. We've got wildlife, foxes. Every day we'll see fox, deer, uh, roadrunners, and this is what I produce in. So it's inspiring, and it's creative. My girlfriend Jasmine, she's graduate today is her last day of her first 200 hours of yoga certification. So for our lifestyle and what we're looking to do, this is optimal living. Also to acknowledge how much more affordable it is compared to living, in a brick and mortar home or apartment.
That's awesome. Um, I remember when my wife and I, Stacy, had the opportunity to come to Texas a couple years back when the opportunity arose for us to get into the gold and silver business. We helped an old friend of ours build one of the largest gold and silver buying operations in the U.S. I won't mention any names. I think, anyhow, it's a long story. I don't even think we're allowed to talk about it for legal reasons, but that's a different topic. But you were living there. You and I used to DJ together at Dragon in Hermosa Beach at the pier, my old establishment. And then you moved to Austin. And then when I found out we were going out there, I was super stoked because it was an interesting, new chapter in life. And Austin is an amazing city. And it was really cool to see the beachhead you had already established because you had, at the time, you were promoting and DJing everywhere. And Austin has such a cool live music scene. And then a lot of people don't know this, but their underground house music and underground techno and their underground dubstep scene at the time was awesome. Like for those
Yeah.
who are really into underground dance music, I remember was the place called Barcelona? Are they still
Yeah.
up and
I
going?
yeah, I don't they are. I mean, yeah, they're up and going. I don't know what they're doing, but they're still there. I don't know what their music format is, but it's still there and going strong, as well as a handful of other places that have popped up. Since you were here, places have come and gone, but it's still thriving.
Yeah. Well, I know like Kingdom, Lanai were my two favorites. I mean, I don't know if they still dominate Austin, but
Yeah.
and I'm not even a huge dubstep fan, but you being in the industry like you and I were or are, it was just impressive for someone from out of town to walk into Barcelona. You go downstairs, this little narrow, tiny little bar, and it was dedicated to just strictly dubstep, or at least the nights I was there. And it was so
Yeah,
cool to
just
see
or
such a,
bass driven culture.
yeah, just such
Yeah.
a niche that would not work in a lot of cities. Um, and but it like the because I'm almost 6'8", or I'm 6'8", 6'7.5", and so I'd walk in and these bass bins were like eye level with me, and the place only held seemingly like 125 people, and to have like such clean sound, it seemed like it was all candle lit and just like a mecca for dubstep and bass music, and it was just cool. Like even if you're not a super big fan of dubstep, it was just cool to see like something dedicated to people who love that kind of music. And so
For sure.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
Isn't Austin like the traffic was bad when I was there? It has to just be getting worse and worse, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's since you left. When did you leave? What, 3 years ago? No, it's five,
No, my
five,
God, it's
six,
been 5 or 6.
5, 6. Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's continued to grow, and the traffic's insane. It's city's crazy, really
yeah, I
busy.
can only imagine. Um, and then the boat parties, like Austin has such a cool little niche with boat parties. Like, I don't know, I think we went on 2 or 3 in a short amount of time. And you don't like to get a DJ and 100 people on a bitchin' little barge or whatever you call those things,
Yeah, didn't
like
we?
out on.
Didn't we? DJ Dan was on one.
Yeah,
Remember?
well yeah, well we orchestrated that with DJ Dan.
That's right.
For those that don't know, DJ Dan is arguably one of the underground house music legends in the world. um and when I don't know, do we explain for people the difference between underground and commercial? Like how would you categorize that for those that are listening? Christian, I want to hear your explanation.
I mean, I think it's got to be um, probably the tones of the instruments are going to be a lot brighter for underground, with maybe the vocal riffs are going to be recognizable and brighter, and the arrangements are maybe a little bit different. I guess, the late great Avicii, you know is was not an underground artist, where my music in comparison is vastly different. um, Written on using the same tools, on the same software per se, um, same beat format, but just a greatly different sound and feeling.
Yeah, man, I hope I'm not doing this an injustice, but I've always considered commercial music something that you would hear on the radio in in a in a in a club like Omnia, for example, with like an Avicii or a Calvin Harris or a uh, Steve Aoki. Not that it's bad or good. It's just like very like all the kids know it. Like it's
Yeah,
on the radio. People know the lyrics, or it's remixes of, you know, Too Short or Rihanna or Jay-Z track built into whereas you get like a Richie Houghton, or you get Hot Creations, or these people who I don't know. It's really hard because you and I know what underground techno and underground house music is. I'm just trying to figure out what the proper description would be for
yeah. I mean, I
someone.
think also just the people, when you go hear Steve Aoki or whoever it may be in Vegas. I think the people who are listening to that music, they want to recognize the songs. They feel good when the DJ plays something and they know it.
Yeah,
Where with us, we want to play what people don't know and haven't heard. That doesn't mean that we don't play maybe an old classic underground tune that people from that culture will recognize. But for the most part, in comparison to quote EDM, I think everyone at an EDM show, they really kind of they want to recognize what's being played on a mainstream pop level. Where 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 I play, people don't. They want to hear stuff that's new, that's fresh, that's not released, that they haven't heard before.
exactly.
So
I
culture, I
want
think
to
it's a
give
cultural difference.
I want to give a quick shout out to Ragsdale, our old
Oh
friend
wow!
who used
Hey,
to
hey,
party.
Ryan.
Yeah,
Hey, dude.
yeah, right. His name just popped up on the screen.
Yeah, I see
Uh,
that.
what's up, Ragsdale? We got to give shout outs to our friends when they
That's
join the
cool.
podcast.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, okay.
uh, yeah, so man, I remember that something crazy happened to me on that first boat party. The weather was warm, the water was warm. So we went on the first boat party with you and Desiree before we were living there, and it was an amazing little trip to Austin. It was like a little precursor to our move out there, and people were drinking, doing various drugs, et cetera, et cetera. And then Stacy and I were scratching our heads. Someone offered us something we had never heard of before, mephedrone or mephedrone. And I was
Notorious
like, yeah, I was like, I had never heard of drone until we got to Austin, Texas. And I think it was kind of popular. So then after further reading about it, I guess it got really popular in England first, but then people were like, so I'm like, well, what is it? And they're like, oh, it's plant fertilizer. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Plant fertilizer? Yeah, give me some. Oh my God. I couldn't believe it. So we
Let's
were
be
all out.
glad that hopefully it's surpassed this. I haven't heard of it being around for a long time. I hope it stays that way.
Man. So, in full disclosure, a bunch of people were trying it, and I was I was tripping out. I mean, I guess it felt like a mild hit of, MDMA, and I was like, and then I was reading online, like people were buying pounds of it in England and whatnot, and it was like, I don't know, at the time it was like $12 a pound or something, and you could even import it into the U.S. for a period of time. I don't know if you still can. You can't possibly still be legal because that stuff was actually pretty good for $12 a pound. I was cracking up. I'm like, I'm not gonna like start growing roots in my shorts, am I? Like, I think people were starting to smell like fertilizer. It was crazy. I'm getting hot. I got to take off my throwback MySpace music sweatshirt. Shout out to MySpace Music and my wife, who used to work for MySpace
Whatever happened
before
to MySpace?
Rupert
Is it
Murdoch
long
bought
gone? Or?
Rupert Murdoch bought it, and I think he paid like some record-breaking amount of money at the time, like six or Stacy's probably like scratching or shouting out the number. It was like $682 million or something.
Wow.
And then within weeks or months, they ran it into the ground. Um, the sad thing is they were the Facebook of their time, and they were
Hmm.
crushing it. Rupert Murdoch buys it. They fire like 800 people one afternoon. My wife being one of them, unfortunately, and just the company tanked really fast. And it was sad to see. I think Justin Timberlake bought them at one point in time for like $10 million, not that
Wow.
long after. I'm sure people are out there just shouting at their computer screen or their telephone right now because I'm butchering all the dates and numbers and facts, but it went from like 700 million down to like 10 million, and who knows what it's worth now. But it's crazy to see like how social media is in such a short window of time has just completely dominated online marketing, not just online marketing, but marketing. Remember when you and I first started playing music and we were playing records and you'd carry record bag into a club or into a party, and the only way to promote the party was flyers that you passed out on the street, or
Yeah.
you had to call your friend. It's like, could you imagine a millennial now, like some successful little like 21, 22-year-old club promoter had no idea like what Pasquale Rotella was doing like before starting EDC. The
Crazy.
guy,
Yeah.
yeah, the guy would just be pounding the pavement for hours and days and weeks, like promoting a underground rave. Remember, you had to like call a phone number, and then someone at that phone number picked up the phone and gave you a secret code, and then you had to go meet someone behind 7-Eleven for a secret handshake, and
I
then they gave
do.
you another number to call, and then they would only release the address of the party like hours before the party so the
Yeah.
cops didn't.
Yeah.
Man, we
That's
gotta.
cool.
I,
They're
I really
cool
want.
cool days.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So how is Electric Avenue ATX coming along? Your
It's
dance
not.
music directory?
It's because of social media, there hasn't been a reason to continue. I don't think people, I think the way that the algorithms work and everything, if you're into something, you're going to find out about it somehow, some way. It's going to pop up, or you're going to get a invitation or some kind of a notification through Facebook, mostly Twitter, that something that you're into is in the area or is happening. So
Yeah,
because of that, there hasn't been a reason to have a non-social media associated calendar. So for time reasons, as well as motivation, to keep it going, went down. So as of right now, I think you can still log into it, and it's just a where it was left. I think about probably about 5 years ago.
okay. Yeah, I had a big appreciation for what you were doing. You know, your love of house music and different various forms of dance music, and you wanted to create something really cool for Austin, and you did.
And it worked.
You
Yeah, and
did.
it was great. I think because I moved here in 2009, had my 9 year anniversary last weekend. It was at the very very tail end of the effectiveness of something like that. So it was useful for a year or two, and then it kind of died off. But it was a good way for me to get introduced to a new city. I used it as a tool to come to a new city. You don't know anyone. This kind of music's tough to break into. When you move to a town, the DJ culture is pretty tight knit. So to have that as an offering, to help everyone, was a good introduction to to meet local people and get involved.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's just man, Facebook is so pervasive, like it's just really, I mean, they're not they're listening to our phone calls, they're reading what we text people. I mean, now we're getting to some of your and my favorite conspiracy topics, but yeah, I mean, it would just be so hard now to start a website from scratch that competed with, a Facebook. Like
Yeah, I mean,
Facebook is
I think it's
just,
pointless,
yeah,
nearly, right? I mean,
yeah,
I've noticed a lot of people's websites, they route to their Facebook page. So
that's
instead of even
amazing.
having yeah, instead of even having a website, it just links to their Facebook page.
Hey, I know Elliot, our producer, is listening. Elliot, can you pop in for a second? I want to see if the audio and the video is still okay because I'm starting to hear a little bit of.
What's up, y'all?
Here he comes right now. Hey, Elliot,
How you doing?
is my audio in your headphones, your guys' headphones? Does it still sound okay? Because
Your money.
Christian, because your guys now, you guys both sound a little not scratchy, but a little distorted. My headphones. So as
That's
long as you got,
that's the Wi-Fi over there, or your connection over
oh, it
there.
is.
That's all it is.
How
Yeah.
do I sound to you, Elliot?
Your money. You're good.
Oh, okay, cool.
hmm
Okay.
And then
Yeah, it's just a little. Go ahead.
we're connecting Taylor pretty soon here, so I'll let you guys know.
Okay. For those on my computer, on my clock, it's saying 2:54 p.m. For those that are listening, I want you guys to know that we're experimenting with something on this podcast called the Cannabis Hour. And so 1 hour, 4 minutes, and 20 seconds into each episode, we're going to have one of the brands that we work with, or just people who are very pervasive in the cannabis scene, whether it's brands or innovators or famous growers or Tommy Chong or the CEO of Weed Maps or whoever. We're going to have people come on and join us and try and create something interesting. So today at technically at 3:04 p.m. and 20 seconds, We're going to have Taylor from Select Cartridges join us. And Select is just dominating the vape scene right now in the cannabis world. And he's a great guy, and he's going to be joining us, everybody, around 304 and change.
Oh yeah.
So
they have some of the best stuff out there by far.
Yeah, you even sound worse in my headphones than Christian, Elliot.
Okay.
So I guess if everything's cool, if everything sounds okay coming from me, I guess we can just go back to a split screen with
yeah, you sound
Christian.
good on my end, Mike.
All right, cool. Let's see, where was I? So getting back to Austin. So I remember, so when we first met, we were playing records in LA at Sunday Fun Day at that party called Easy at Dragon. And at the time, 15, 16 years ago, it was the first daytime weekly house music party in LA. And some people listening may like disagree, but I remember at the time, I remember right after that, then a party at 14 started up. A bunch of my friends who used to come every Sunday then split off, and they started doing Forbidden City. They started doing Joseph's. So for a window of time, it was the only spot to go in LA every Sunday to hear. It started off as deep house, and then it morphed into house. And so when I met you through our mutual good friend Benji Davidson, when I met you, you were playing like upbeat San Francisco house music, deep house and house. And like, at what point did you go from that genre into like where you're at today with techno? I mean, you're like, in my opinion, and many other people's opinion, you're one of the top techno producers in the world right now, which is a huge accomplishment. I mean, as long as you're using Beatport as the barometer, which I know for many, like that is the barometer of who's crushing it, who's not crushing. Like, how did you go from deep house and house into being such a good techno producer? And then how did you get into production?
So, I'd always liked techno from the very, very beginning, even before I moved to Los Angeles and met you and Benji and everyone. I was a big fan of techno. Through Carl Cox, had seen him live and got his famous mix CD tapes, and I was really into it. However, it was not, when you're a smaller DJ playing in bars and small parties, techno's just not, you won't get booked for techno. So I enjoyed playing deep house and house and tech house fine. So that was kind of the sound. But so the techno thing was kind of when it came after moving to Austin, but it was revisiting what was already there. I already liked it, or I was already into it, but the avenues opened to go into it. Now, when I first moved to Austin, I was playing more deep. I was playing deep house music, tech house, and then as I built a fan base here, then I was able to kind of slowly let go of those other genres and just focus on techno. But I still play techno, tech house now, techno tech house. And then I started producing when I was in Los Angeles, but I didn't take it seriously until we'd made the move out into Spicewood here, about 45 minutes from Austin, where I explained earlier.
By the way, Lonnie just chimed in and said Kingdom happened. That's how you got into techno.
Okay, yeah,
What
well,
up, Lonnie?
that's a good point too. Yeah, hey Lonnie. Thanks.
Shout out to Lonnie.
And so yeah, Kingdom happened, and Kingdom provided a place where techno could be heard well because of the quality of sound, and the environment. And but circling back to producing, that happened for me I was doing it kind of half-heartedly up until from about 2008 to about 2012. I was dabbling in it, but I wasn't taking it seriously, like really seriously. In about 2012, made this move, came out to Spicewood, got our fifth wheel, turned it into a studio, and from that point on is when I, for the most part, started producing every day, all day long, as much as I possibly could, and it's been that way since about 2012. And that was done out of a necessity for wanting to DJ and travel and play more exclusive events and parties, clubs. Was you get booked off of your productions and what labels that you're signed to. Having a big label behind you is the stamp of approval that you need for getting out of town bookings and respect from techno fans from outside of your hometown is really going to be based on what you're making in the studio and what labels you're affiliated to.
That's yeah. So would you? So is there? I used to buy records every week, and I used to love shopping for music. Not only on Melrose, like at Doc Martin's old record store, but especially online. Remember, like Dance Records and
Yeah,
Stompy and whatnot. Hey, Lonnie, if you're still listening, before I forget, we have this new feature after the cannabis hour. You and anyone who's listening, if you guys want to join in and ask a live question via video feed, text us your email address in the chat, and our producer Elliot will send you a link on how to join the show. Preferably, you do it from a desktop, laptop, or tablet. We have tried in a couple practice runs. We tried with smartphones, and it kind of crashed the Be Live system. We are going to experiment with taking people's video calls today, but we want to try the people using their smartphone. We want to try them last in case, because that might end the like call-in segment of the show. So we're going to go with people who have desktop, laptop, tablets first. And if you want to do that, Lonnie or Ragsdale or anyone listening, let's try it. And then Elliot's telling me that we've got Taylor ready to come on for the cannabis hour. So join in on this, Christian, and let's listen to Taylor and
cool.
all of us talk about the cannabis world for a few minutes.
Cool.
Hey guys.
Hey dude.
Taylor,
What's going on? How you guys doing?
what up, you handsome fucker?
Thank you, man. How you doing? How you guys
You're
going?
great.
How's
Great.
the podcast off to a start right now?
It's good. I'm going
Man,
through all the
I'm kind
comments.
of bummed out because my audio has gotten horrible. I don't know with this new software. I don't know if I need to like I don't know. This is the first time we've done this live, but I almost kind of need to like maybe I don't want to log out and log back in, but it's gotten so bad in my headset that it's like sounds totally diffracted. But let's just try this anyhow. And say something if you can, Taylor, just so I can see if it's still all screwed up.
Check. We could check.
Yeah. Do you hear him fine, Christian?
Yeah, Crystal.
Hey, Elliot, do you think is there any way for me to like log out and log back in without screwing this up? Or would that be just setting myself up for a disaster? Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to wing it because to be honest with you, I don't mean to have this interruption, but it's like it's getting in my headset. It's getting worse and worse, like the audio quality for some reason. But anyhow, awesome. Okay. At least people are saying it's fine.
Yeah, thanks, Tony.
But Taylor is now our first guest in the cannabis hour. So 1 hour, 4 minutes, 20 seconds into each episode, we're going to experiment with having someone prominent from the cannabis industry join us. Taylor is with a massive company right now called Select. And I remember when I first found out about Select, I was talking with my good friends, the owners of Urban Leaf in San Diego, and I had not yet heard of Select. And Josh, shout out to Josh. What up, Josh? Josh says, are you guys carrying Select yet with Fast and Friendly? And I said, no. And why? He's going, dude, it's probably the best vape company in America right now. And it's so funny. Taylor can attest to this. In our industry, every grower you meet, every distributor you meet, oh, you got to try this guy's cannabis. Or in the industry, it's called flower. Like for people who don't know the industry terms, flower is basically just weed, but it's a little bit more of a professional term. So, oh, you got to try this company's flower. It's the best flower in America. Oh, really? And you just roll your eyes. Oh, you got to try this cartridge. It's the best cartridge ever. Okay, cool. We all hear that every day. And so Josh says, you got to try Select. It's probably the best cartridge in America right now. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. I mean, there's hundreds of cartridge companies. And so then a few days later, I try it and I'm like, wow, this is probably stronger than I don't want to name names, but some of my favorite heaviest cartridges. And then I'm reading about Select, an amazing story. Select becomes the #1 cartridge company in Oregon. And correct me if I'm wrong, Taylor, it's because all the other, like you guys were the only one who passed the pesticide tests. And then now you guys are just crushing it in California. Like tell us what's happening lately with Select, please.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. That was an awesome background. Really appreciate that. Yeah, so super honored to be on here, especially as the first cannabis guest. This is huge, and this is definitely conversations like this need to be had more often with the community and incorporating, consumers to people in the business and connecting us all through conversations. Awesome, badass. So appreciate it. Yeah, so we started in Oregon about 4 years ago. It started in a living room with the owner and now president, co-founder of the company, Cameron Forney, and he really just was looking into the market and wanted to expand into something that was growing as quickly as cannabis was. And in Oregon, there was still so many things to shake out at the time. There were no regulations yet. It was the Wild West, like Arizona still is right now. And essentially, he developed this brand around just purely focusing on the oil. And like you mentioned, I mean, what we really need to start paying attention to as an industry is looking towards July. I know everybody is right now here in Cali, but what happened in Oregon was just people weren't ready for that. They weren't ready. They didn't have the amount of oil that they needed that was clean, Category 2 ready, and they didn't have enough bandwidth with the labs. So I think as a state, it's pretty scary how behind in some aspects we are right now with labs and ISO certifications and LC Mass triple quad machines and how many of those are in the state. But I think it's really just as a brand, we've aligned ourselves and thought ahead to what the next step is and how we can always be consistent. And the consistency part is key, because when we came to the market 1 year ago here in Cali in March 2017, we were still using Category 2 clean oil, right? So there wasn't even Category 2, wasn't even a thing yet, hadn't even been created. No one had ever heard of that. There was no regulation around it. But we brought our foundation from Oregon here, which was clean and only sourcing clean trim and material. So that's been crucial for us. And I think at the end of the day, there's lots of great products out there that are, and lots of really good companies. And it's just developing that foundation, getting ready for what is to come, and the clean market, as is being called here in the second half of the year.
Hey, sorry, you guys. I'm having really bad issues with I don't know if it's my headphone jack or my headphones. I'm going to actually need to try and go see if I can get a replacement pair really in the next room. Like, can you guys just Elliot, can you come on and sort of just take over for a minute, or Christian and Taylor talk for a second?
Yeah, we
Just
got you.
cover for me, because I've got to solve this problem. Like, I honestly am having a lot of troubles with the audio quality. So give me 1 second, okay, you guys?
You got it.
Yep.
So Taylor, Elliot, by the way, good to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Elliot.
So I actually work at Urban Leaf here, the one in Bay Park in San Diego. And
Yeah.
I got to say, man, those select cartridges, they fly off the shelves. I'm always putting them back, restocking them like every single day. So
Yeah.
what is it about the extraction process that you guys do that changes that? Well, why is it so much more potent, it seems like, than the other cartridges?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the extraction process, man, it's really, here's the thing. At the end of the day, it's a multiple faceted, aspect to the cartridge. And not to sound super fancy schmancy, but really at the end of the day, it's about the potency, which there now we are, like you mentioned, it's, our carts are normally in the 86 to 94% range on average with THC, with D9. And that's activated, right? So they're activated at that level. So you're not losing that 11% when if you were to combust it prior to activation. But I think that the main point really is just having an element of, it's really sourcing from the right places and sourcing consistently. We put in so much time into sourcing, into finding the right sources for our trim and our material and our feedstock. We don't own any farms, we don't own dispensaries, we don't own, anything but what we are doing internally for manufacturing with oil, right? So that allows us to specialize, I think, and really allows us to focus on that and that only. At the end of the day, there's a lot of different things that we could do. We could go buy a drink company or start a drink company or start an edible line or a lot of different things. But that, at the end of the day, even though those may be successful, it takes away from the amount of energy we're able to put in just focusing on the oil. So that's really, I think, at the end of the day, man, we're putting all of our eggs into the oil basket, and hiring the best people and working with the best extractionists. And we just brought down our chief scientist, who's like 34 years old, one of like the most award-winning extractionists in Oregon, and he's now making all of our oil here in Cali. So yeah, man, there's a lot of different pieces to the puzzle, but it comes from, I honestly, I can't take too much credit, man. It's really the people that I work around are some of these most smartest individuals I've ever met in my entire life, and they have it all figured out. And I've been through this in multiple states, so going to Cali has been challenging, but we've been blessed to be able to have experience in 2 other states coming before Cali.
Nice. And then I have some experience with your guys' CBD oil. My girl swears by it. She's got anxiety, but not anymore when we give her some of that stuff. So can you talk a little bit about the
tincture or the vape?
The tincture. You guys are one of the few companies that carries a full CBD tincture with no THC, not even THCA going on.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about the CBD offerings that you guys have?
Yeah, absolutely, man. And so, here's the thing. There's a huge debate around, right, CBD and how much THC you need to activate the CBD. Full transparency, our tinctures and vapes are pure CBD. So there is no THC element to them whatsoever. And I can't tell you how many business owners have gotten into debates about this, and also the fact of it being hemp derived, right? So there's a lot of bad press, or within the cannabis community and canna snobs, I like to call people, which is we all are them at some point, when we're analyzing all the different aspects of these products. I use that word in an endearing way, but basically, our tinctures are formulated so that we're using MCT oil, right? Which MCT oil
medium chain triglyceride.
MCT oil, medium chain triglyceride by itself has been known to be a very healthy brain active fuel. So using that as a carrier element is where it all starts, and then we steep our herbs for a certain amount of time, and that are infused into the tinctures, so they actually have an herbal content or a phytonutrient content. Which is also a key component of it too. So I think, at the end of the day, using a 1,000 milligram tincture that's hemp derived, some people are turned off by the fact it doesn't have THC, but if you allow that CBD to build up in your body over a certain period of time, and obviously this is over loose studies, there's not like any level 4 federally, funded studies on this stuff yet, but you know, what we've consistently and anecdotally found is that, you know, over weeks use of our tinctures, they really can be very, very effective in helping with, you know, anything that really CBD can help an individual with, you know.
Okay, yeah. So that's the part of it that's interesting to me. It takes more than just one dose, because it's not like other things with cannabis where you take a hit and you know it's working. CBD is something that you have to do over time, and eventually you'll reap the benefits of it, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, I think it always comes back to this, you know, very loose, to each his own body.
Right.
Like, I really, it drives me nuts to not be able to say, like, make a claim and say that, yes, it works right away on some people, but I just can't say that because maybe it doesn't. And I have had people told me that. So anecdotally, yes, it can work immediately and instantaneously. However, for something like, you know, a CBD that doesn't have the THC component, and also the fact that we're eating it and it's going through a gastrointestinal system, even though it's sublingual, you're still losing some element of the potency of that CBD when you're taking it.
Okay.
And at the same time, your body is completely different than anybody else's body. So we're not sure how much you're actually absorbing, not sure how long it may take to build up, not sure what your endocannabinoid system is currently functioning like.
Right.
So I always like to advise, give it, you know, 3 to 7 days
Can you guys
time.
hear me at all?
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah, we got you, Mike.
We were just talking about CBD for a while here.
So I ordered one of the select CBD pens.
Yeah,
and
nice.
You do feel it.
Yeah, all right.
Right off the bat, I think there's a pleasantness to it that I think is very distinct. And I'll give you guys a commendation too, because I think I'd ordered 2 pens, and the second one it wasn't functioning so well. Quite quickly after ordering it, there was a problem you guys sent out. You guys didn't ask, so I sent you an email, and then I don't know if it was you, but someone responded, I think within about 15 minutes, and just said there's another one in the mail.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I love it. Okay.
So it was really good customer service from your end. But yeah, I feel as though with that CBD pen, that you do feel some kind of a you know, effect at some level. But there's no THC in it. Can't get THC legally in Texas, so you send the CBD pen, and I thought it was really good.
So Taylor,
thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Is the pen a more efficient way to do CBD than the tincture?
So I mean, just as far as the absorption, vaping anything is by far the fastest way to instantaneously get it into your system.
Okay.
You know, that's why when you smoke something, you just like, whoa, right away, right? Versus, you know, eating it versus like an edible, right? It takes a couple hours to start setting in. Yes. So yes, a pen. Well, here's the thing. It depends on what you want. Like, for instance, a tincture is something that you can use in the morning, right? I use it all. I take a full dropper full in the morning, which is 33 milligrams, and I'm good for the day, right? Like, I don't need any more CBD the rest of the day. Like, the studies that have been done are showing anywhere between like 20 to 50 milligrams is like the sweet spot. So it's a pretty big range, but at the end of the day, 50 milligrams or to like 100 milligrams is for like cancer patient, you know, really like saturating the body. And then on the other end of that, for a beginner or somebody whose endocannabinoid system is super active and then takes the CBD very well, 20 milligrams. So I go somewhere in the middle and take 33. Now, as far as whether a CBD pen, I just got a question here, whether CBD pen is better than a vape. It depends what you're looking for. I like being able to take it in the morning and not worry about it the rest of the day, right?
Right.
Now, also, if you have anxiety or these different types of, you know, fibromyalgia or, you know, seizures or, you know, stigmatism, different types of things, the pen can be an immediate way to get that immediate reaction and absorption of the medicine. So I do always like to say, like, I keep a pen on me all the time. And stressful day, I hit it throughout the day or whatever. But I know for a fact that in the morning, I still got all the CBD that I needed throughout the day, as far as just my body absorbing it.
Is CBD is it a preventative medicine? Does it prevent? Is it healthy to take it? Is it healthy for the body?
That's the theory, right? That's what I've you know, I try and read as much about this as possible, and what I have read is that through helping our body achieve that state of homeostasis, which is what CBD and cannabinoids do, It's help our body achieve this like a watch, right? You know, have all these different gears, and you got your lung, and you got your nervous system, and your cardiovascular system, and all these different things that are like different gears. Sometimes they can get out of sync and causes issues, and over time, that out of syncness, like a watch would wear down certain parts of it, or cause different, you know, cause a bigger issue down the road that maybe we don't see in as much right now. So I like to believe, and what I've read is that CBD can be preventative. And I think one of the main things it comes down to also is, as far as why it's preventative, you know, my background comes from a medical background, and that medical background showed me that inflammation is really like the downfall to really like to everything, right?
Yeah.
It causes cancer, it causes Alzheimer's, like all the bad stuff that we experience. Majority of it is caused from inflammation. And so if we can address that early on with something like a tincture or a CBD vape, and just continuously prevent that and keep it in check, I think that I definitely think there's major potential for it to be a preventative measure. And I think that us moving forward in our generation is going to be super cool to see that, right? I think that the more, you know, in 10 years or however damn long it takes to deschedule it, we'll be able to study this much more in depth and be able to understand how actually preventative it can be, because I think the potential is so high, and you know, can really be a game changer. And the question here, so it's anti-inflammatory. Yeah, as far as the studies that have been done currently, it does show, the studies do show that CBD is an anti-inflammatory agent, that it actually helps prevent inflammation through our endocannabinoid system and our CB1 and CB2 receptors, and that it can help prevent the formation of our different formation of T cells and all these different super fascinating systematic ways that our body ends up becoming inflamed. It's actually really complicated. If anybody wants to go down the black hole on Wikipedia, look up inflammation.
Plugging in my laptop here. Sorry, guys.
All right, cool.
Okay.
You back, Mike?
Mike is not back. Sorry, guys. He's he can't even hear us for some reason. So we're gonna end up relaunching the show here in a little bit. But Taylor, we appreciate it, man. That was some amazing info.
For sure, guys.
Again, we'll make sure we
Good to
direct
meet you,
people
Taylor.
over to Select Oil, right? And that's the right place.
Yeah, selectoil.com, and then you can find our products, our CBD products, at selectcbd.com. And we actually just launched our pet line as well. So there's a pet line now for CBD. Super exciting. Check out the Instagrams and our web pages. Definitely can find. I think this weekend actually it's buy two get one free. This weekend only on selectcbd.com. So check that out.
Okay, selectcbd.com. We'll throw that up there as well. Well, thank you for being on Mellow Riot. Sorry about the technical issues today. It's our first,
All good.
Our first go.
Thanks for having me on, guys. We'll be talking to you very soon. Peace.
All right, man.
See you
Take
later.
care.
Bye.
All right, Christian, it's you and me for now. Mike is trying to figure this out. He's got some headphone issues he's having where he sounds fine to us, but he cannot hear anything we're saying. So
Okay. Yeah. Unless maybe he just unplugged it and went unplugged, because I tried that when we were testing it the other week. And
Okay.
it sounded okay.
But okay, so I don't know if he can even do that. Yeah, he's scrambling. So I'm wondering if we should, let's see. Oh yeah, there is plenty of links on CBD, like what it does for inflammation, even schizophrenia and epilepsy. So there's a lot of stuff you can look into, Lonnie, if you're curious about CBD. My brother's schizophrenic, and I've got him taking CBD now, and it's helped his mood a little bit, but not the answer for sure. But I think we're going to end this one for now, and we're going to do a little restart. It's our first go. We're going to try to get Mike back in here. So thanks for bearing with us, guys.
Cool.